talked about earlier. Verse 13. But we do not want you to be uninformed, brethren, about those who are asleep, so that you will not grieve as do the rest who have no hope. You have to remember, I've read some commentaries and done a little bit of looking. The Thessalonians, some of them had a belief that once you die, there was no afterlife. It was over. And this was also coming in to play here. He wanted them to understand when Jesus comes back, guess what? All new life to happen again. But he's wanting to inform them. And also he's saying something here that we need to look at today. Did it show us here that we shouldn't grieve when we lose someone? It didn't say that. It didn't say that. That's human nature, guys. When you lose someone close, what do? You grieve. But the key that we need to remember is, so that you will not grieve as do the rest who have no hope. If you die as a Christian, guess what? You have that hope. You should. You have that hope. Let's continue on. Verse 14. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep in Jesus. Did anything stand out in that verse that anyone might have caught?
Yeah, you better be in Jesus when you do.
That's true.
Pass away.
That's true. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, when you become a child of God, what is the key to that? What is your confession? That Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Okay? That's the key. That's the first thing. Being that if we didn't become a Christian, we'd have been the ones that didn't have the hope. But being a Christian, you have that hope. He's wanting them to understand also, even so God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep in Jesus. What about the ones that went on before? For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will not precede those who have fallen asleep. He's wanting to understand whether the person is passed on or is still here. The reward is still there. The reward is still there.
Hey, Phil, everybody will be brought together in front
That's
of,
right.
in front of
That's
God.
right.
Christ is our adversary. And God will ask him, what about this and this and this? And you better be sure that Christ is on your side.
And there was some of them that believed that Jesus was coming pretty soon. That they would still be alive when he came. We have to remember, when is Jesus coming again? Let's think one more a little deeper. Jesus don't even know.
That means that God's going to send him again when God decides.
I just, in my mind, I just pictures that God said, day's day, let's go. Okay? I mean, that could happen. That could happen. We don't know the time. We don't know the air. It amazes me that people today still want to put a date on it, want to put a guess. It happened in 2000, Oh, boy, we're turning the century. Hey, things is going to happen. And we don't know.
And all because of just, they didn't think the time being from the 1900s to go into 2000.
But the key to all this is to be ready whenever that day comes. Be ready. Because we don't know. And the thing that we need to remember even more than this, if something happens that you pass on before then, your fate is sealed that day. You say, well, Phil, what are you talking about? Does anyone know when they're going to pass on? Does anyone know when they're going to die? You know that I like to know your secret because I like to know how that happens. We don't know a time. That's the reason he stresses time and time again in the scriptures. Be on guard, be ready, be vigilant. That's the reason why. Be ready no matter when that time may come. Verse 16 now. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. You have one of them trivia questions. This is the noisiest verse in the Bible. Did you hear what all's taking place? Did you hear what all's taking? And everybody's going to hear. There won't be no one that won't hear. When it says, for the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, and the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God. You say, Phil, what's that going to sound like? Boy, I have no idea. But I guarantee you, you'll know it's happening. Or what it'll look like, yeah. We have no idea. Your mind just wonders, you know. What will it be like? I can tell you this. There'll be a lot of great joy. And there's going to be a lot of, oh no, not today. There's going to be a lot of both. But we know it's going to be where everyone, there will be no doubt, everyone will know that God is coming. That Jesus is here. Everyone will know. And it doesn't matter what language, where you're at in the world, it won't matter. Everyone will know. Now that last part.
When does this 1,000 years kick in?
You haven't seen that yet, have you? No. 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 This is going to take place, and you look at the next part there. And the dead in Christ will rise when? First. It just, you know, there's some questions that you just don't know the answer to.
One spot it talks about they've fallen asleep in Jesus, and in another spot it says dead. Am I to assume, obviously, that means the same thing?
Same thing.
Wonder why we chose different words.
That's a good question.
We're creative.
That's a good question. But he's wanting them to understand this evidently was something that was really stressing some of the Thessalonians. Don't worry about the ones that's passed on if they was in Christ. Don't worry about those folks. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's just like today when you lose someone close to you that you know that is a child of God. You have that hope. You have that comfort knowing that what? One day you'll see him again. One day. Let's continue on in verse 17. Then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we shall always be with him. We be with the Lord. You have to remember, is Jesus coming back to this earth? Is he going to set foot on this earth again? Huh?
Is he going to come back and
Rain, did you read that in that verse? It says what? We will be caught up together with them in the clouds to where? Meet the Lord in the air.
So he's just gonna be up above us and welcome the Christian.
Yeah, yeah. So we shall always be with the Lord. Now, you say, well, Phil, what does all that have to do with us today?
It tells us,
You are in control of your destination. You can be with the Lord forever. But I got news for you. That day of judgment is going to be a day of separation also. You say, Phil, what are you talking about?
what's that mean, it's separating the earthly body from the spiritual body?
True, but there's also going to be a separation of people.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think he talks about the sheep and the goats? Why do you talk about talking to the right and the left? The world today wants everyone to believe that everyone's going to be all right. Jesus is not going to send anybody to hell. He's not going to do that. He's a God of love. You've said all true statements there. He's not going to send you to hell. He is a God of love. If you go to hell, it's on your own choice. It's your choice. It's your decisions has caused you to be in that situation. Just like everything else in life. Your choices usually results in some situation in your life. Good or bad. Now he's wanting them to understand also in verse 18, therefore comfort one another with these words. Don't stress about the ones that have been a child of God that have passed on. Don't worry about those folks. It's all right. Don't worry about it. What he wants you to worry about is you. Where are you at in this? What is your condition? Are you saved? Are you a child of God? If not, why not? Why not? Because he's giving you the options here. You're either going to be with the Lord or you're not. It's hard for us to wrap our minds around eternity, isn't it? How long is eternity?
Forever.
It's hard to imagine forever.
I always thought of it as trying to get the grasp of it. It's like standing on the seashore and trying to count each grain of sand.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's no way physically able possible we could do it.
What we need to understand is, you and I both know we have two choices when it comes to eternity. We have that. It's up to us to make that decision. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? It takes effort to be a Christian. You don't have to do nothing to visit with the devil. Did you hear what I said? It takes effort to be a Christian. You don't have to do nothing to be with the devil. Matter of fact, that's what he wants you. Nothing. He said, "Phil, that's kind of harsh." Yeah, it is. Eternity is going to be harsh. It's like something we've never thought of in our lives. You think someone lives to be 100 years old, you say, wow, they've lived 100 years old. Look what all they've seen. That is a drop in the bucket, just like Rick was saying. 100 years is a drop in the bucket. Compared to eternity. He's wanting them to understand time will no longer exist as we think of it when that happens.
What did it say? The one time will be one eternal day.
One eternal day.
No dark nights.
Can you imagine? One eternal day. I can just imagine the singing That's that. Robert, I figure you think that way too. You think about, can you imagine the singing? Just imagine. Just think on that. And as much joy and greatness as there is in heaven, let's flip over to the other side. How much pain and anguish will be on the other. And he's wanting him to understand this is your choice. Yes, this is your decision in life that you must make. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, there's going to be challenges. Yes, yes, yes. But look at the end result.
What do you think of life here on earth is, there's a lot of years, there's however long you live, compared to eternity. You have to stop and think, oh, that's just a drop of a button, like you say.
Yeah.
Your life here on earth compared to eternity.
It is.
And,
What we need to decide, this is very simple. I try to keep things as simple as possible because that's about as good as I can get. Keep it as simple as possible. We know we don't want to go to hell. I'm going to do everything I can to go to heaven.
And we got a good roadmap.
And we've got the guide. We've got the guide. Is it always politically correct? No. Is it always, you may have, your friends may turn on you? Yeah, that's possible too. But guess what? Look at the end. Look at the goal. Look at where you're headed. That's what he's trying to focus these folks on. Don't worry about the ones that have passed on. Focus on what's ahead. God will take care of those folks down there that's passed on. He's wanting you to focus on your life. Can you do anything about that, folks, that has passed on? Can you change? Can you help them? Can you do anything for them? No. That's between them and God. But you can do something about your own personal situation. Any other comments on this topic? If I don't know the answer, Leland will.
Well, several times we mentioned the hope.
Yes.
I'd rather think of it as the assurity.
Assured, yeah. Hope is something that I think I think it will. But that assurity, I know it's going to be there. I know it's coming. I know.
Hey, Phil, Matthew 25:46 says, and these, talking about the law, and these shall go into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into
That's
eternal
right.
life.
I know it's kind of one of these topics that you say, well, Phil, that's kind of, we don't like thinking about that. I understand. No one wants to think about death. No one wants to think about, well, that's all sadness. That's how we view it. Death is sadness, and it is to some extent.
I can't remember where it is, but the Bible teaches the rich man and Lazarus. It tells about the rich man and eternal.
Yeah. He figured out real quick it wasn't where he needed to be. But I want you to think about this. How did Paul view living? For me to die is gain. For me to live is what? Christ. Being Christ. He's going to suffer. He's going to suffer a lot. He knew that. He had. Paul suffered greatly. It's hard for us to imagine. I can't imagine the things that he went through. The beatings, the stonings, shipwreck. You name it, he went through it. But he never lost faith. He never lost faith.
Well, most of us in that situation like that, go through what he did to start it, most of us would go hide and say, I'm not doing that.
Throw our hands up and say, I'm done with that. Enough of that.
It goes through his dedication.
Yeah. But there's people today that will drop the Lord for a lot less than that. If someone says something contrary to public opinion, well, man, I'm not going to take that. I don't want somebody talking about me. I don't. It's hard for us to imagine the things that went through in Paul's life. But just think about some of the other apostles, some of the other prophets. Look what they went through serving God. Most of them died serving God. And here today we're worried about somebody talking about us just a little bit.
You know, I was just gonna say, we were talking about earlier, it's hard to imagine what heaven's gonna be like.
Yeah.
You know, I think Paul, if anything, he had a pretty clear picture of what he was being
Oh yeah.
persecuted for, and that what it was gonna be like. Having what understood, had a good understanding.
And I think you're
Just
right.
how great, how imaginable it's gonna be to be there with the Lord.
You know, when they describe it, I mean, they just try to describe it in our physical terms.
Sure.
Gates of pearl. Street of gold. I mean, you can, wow. You stop and think, what in the world?
Just to be in the presence of the Creator.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
What he does.
What can be imagined? You know, you said everlasting day, non-ending day in heaven. What did it say about hell? Hell is going to be what?
Everlasting torment.
In darkness. In darkness. I don't know about y'all, but I don't care for the dark. Getting to be less all the time.
Imagine being total dark
I mean, when you can't see your hand right here,
for eternity.
I never have liked being in the dark. It's just me. But can you imagine being that way all the time? The pain, the suffering, the gnashing of teeth. It's hard for me to imagine that too. Gnashing of teeth. We don't hear that much today. But I want you to understand what he's trying to contrast the two. You have everlasting joy and greatness, everlasting pain and suffering. That's what he wants you to understand. That's what he wants you to understand. He's wanting them to say, you have the choice. Serve me, get this. Serve the devil, get this. It's not, there's no, so many times,
There's no third.
there's no middle of the road, guys.
I mean, it's gonna be one way or the other.
Yes. Why do you think when he said, oh, he spit out the lukewarm? I'd rather you be hot or cold. You see what he's saying? There is no middle of the road. What does most people want to do today? Ride the fence. What do we want to do? Ride the fence. I don't want to make these folks mad, and I don't want to make these folks mad. So if I just stay in the middle, we'll keep everybody happy. Is that what the Lord said? That's a very, very dangerous position to be in. I'll just put it that way. Is that middle of the road deal.
See, that looks like the safety.
It does. It looks like, man, right here is a straight, you know, we just stay right here and I won't get stepped on. I won't.
That's the devil.
Like I told earlier, it takes effort to be a Christian. You don't have to do nothing to be with the devil. I mean nothing. You don't have to go rob a bank. You don't have to go kill somebody. You don't have to do nothing. Just sit at the house and do nothing. And the devil will take care of that.
Just go fishing and he'll go with you.
Well, there's nothing wrong with fishing, Miss. You know, I like fishing. But there's a time and place for everything in it. We're going to stop right there. Look like we're out of time. Thank everyone for your comments this morning. We'll start on chapter 5 next week.